here. Thank you guys for showing up, and our meeting is going to be recorded and is being recorded so that we can have this and share this for those that couldn't make it, and just in general. We do this presentation for a lot of builders and architects and engineers. We've done it for small groups, well, hopefully this will, if everyone that signed up shows up today, it'll be one of our largest groups. We're going to keep the questions and answers to the end. And so we do invite people to just jot down any questions they have, keep your microphones off, and then we'll open it up at the end to some discussion. I'm Lindsay Moon. I'm with primarily with Searchlight Lending as a mortgage officer, and I also, my background is in construction. I am very passionate about building greener and building better, and I met Greg, almost 6 years ago now,
Right.
And we have really been working with homeowners, architects, developers, builders, anyone and everyone that wants to and find a better way to build. We are building cheaper, we are building greener, and we're building faster. It's pretty amazing, both on a commercial and a residential side. I'm originally from Toronto, Canada. I live in the Bay Area, and I work all over California, sometimes even nationwide, as does Greg. So welcome everybody, and I'm gonna hand it off to Greg. I just want to mention though that the way that we work under Shell Building Systems is we are a wholesale representative for Premier SIPs, which is, I'm not going to lie, the best structurally insulated panel around. It exceeds all California building codes and is manufactured here in the United States. We don't just represent this company, though. We provide a service where we take a very general set of plans, an architectural set. We can provide the engineering at a very low cost for the entire project. And we see your project through from the very get-go through to its entirety. We provide training to new builders that want to build this way. We provide training to architects and engineers. So we are kind of a full package in terms of taking a project from the very beginning to absolute completion, utilizing this prefab method of building. And with that, Greg, if you want to introduce yourself.
Right. I'll just give you a quick little background on who I am. Again, it's Greg Kev, with Shell Building Systems. Thanks for participating in our webinar today, taking the time. I've been a contractor for, I'd say a little over 30 years. I don't really practice my contracting anymore. And I've basically got introduced to SIPs about in the late 90s. Thought they were the best thing ever because my background, my father was an engineer, a big out of the box thinker. And so when I was introduced to SIPs, I thought it was the best thing ever. But at that time, it was very expensive. And so very few people would use it. I'd say in my career, I've done over 30 million square feet of SIPs, both in residential and commercial. I think it's the best building method out there, technology, price-wise, and everything else. And so we're going to go through this slideshow to just kind of give you a quick introduction of what SIPs are all about. So SIPs are basically designed for type 5 buildings. So if you understand construction, there's different categories, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and we meet everything in the type 5. Again, we can do commercial, we've done schools, just a couple pictures of some things, multifamily, of course, residential, ADUs, you name it, and we've done it. So construction it's a very archaic business, 150 years, and there's been no change. You can see 1877, they were stick building there. It's 2024 now, and they're still stick framing. So with all the innovations we've had in society these days, we haven't really changed anything in our building methods, which is sad.
Yeah, this graphic really says it all. We've gone to the
Exactly.
moon. We've done some amazing things with technology, but when you look at how we've been building homes, really nothing much has changed.
So just to give you a quick introduction to what a SIP is, it's like a sandwich, like almost like an ice cream sandwich. You have OSB, oriented strand board, on the skins on both sides. It's roughly around 7/16 inch thick on each panel. And then in the interior is rigid foam, which is expanded polystyrene.
That's right. Here's an
And
example of a panel kind of in real life, so to speak. The panels, of course, are much thicker, but this is an example of kind of the way that they are assembled here.
right, so we take this panel and we basically compress it together, which makes it a structural insulated panel. Um, so it's basically our biggest panel is 8 foot by 24 feet. So we press these humongous panels, together to give it the strength. They can basically be, there's several thicknesses, 4, 8, or 4, 6, 8, 10, and 12 thick. Typically in California, we use 6 inch walls and 10 or 12 inch roofs, along with the floors, which are 10 and 12 inch thick as well. Um, that we can fabricate basically anything. We have huge CNC machines, which are basically computerized routers that basically cut all the openings, the diaphragms, everything else. You can see if I wanted the picture, yes, we even do curved walls. I'm going to be doing a house up in Santa Rosa that the architect wanted all curved walls on the thing. So that's going to be, quite a feat once we get to that.
Which enables us to basically have no design limitations, which is really important. Building in a modular sort of way, when you're trucking the system down, it's got to be more of a box. With this, there are absolutely no design limitations with SIPs in terms of what you can build. You can build a sphere, but then also the type, whether you want to do traditional or a modern look, it fits all.
Exactly. If any of you are architects out there, I say anything you can put on paper, we can pretty much do with SIPs. It's not an issue. It just shows you a couple pictures, one of a multifamily on the left, that picture right in the center. That's a project in Mill Valley that's just finishing up right now, a single family house, walls, floors, and roof. And we basically call this the perfect storm, meaning that we're trying to force change in the building industry because of these 6 reasons. Material quality, if anybody's seen a wood frame structure lately going up, you can look at the poor quality of the wood. It's horrible. It's green, it's warped. Half of the wood that comes out nowadays are dunnage. If you've gone down to Home Depot and tried to sort out through the 2x4 stack and try to find a straight piece of wood, good luck. The other issues is labor. We have a huge labor problem here, especially here in California. Labor's gone through the roof. It's super expensive. Material cost, again, they've come back down a little bit. Now, supposedly they're going to be going back up, but right after COVID, we had a huge problem, with trying to get materials, trying to keep costs in thing. I got to the point where I'd call my lumber yard up and they'd say, well, the price is good for right now, you know, good for one day and that's it. Tomorrow is a different day. The other thing is constantly changing is all of our code requirements. We're right now we have Cal Green, which is implementing a ton of new mandates. Just this next year, net zero energy for residential. In 2030, it's going to be net zero ready. Our mandates for commercial. And so, what does that mean? Higher insulation value, higher, more solid type of structures, tight, being tight. Um, resilient and efficient. We need more resilient and efficient. You know, there's a lot of natural disasters here in California we have to worry about, earthquakes. So we meet and exceed all the seismic conditions A through F. We also we have a wind shear of 180 miles per hour. You saw probably just recently all the tornadoes that were hitting in Nebraska and so forth. I mean, it really helps tremendously as far as keeping the structure intact with what we have to offer with the panels. And of course, health is another. You know, more people are spending time working out of their house, so they want a healthy environment. Well, there's no toxins in the panels. It's 100% sustainable. There's no VOCs. There's no formaldehyde. There's no virtually nothing in there that's going to cause any issues with people who have hyperallergenic conditions. And we do a lot of projects for camps where they have a variety of different people that come in. They can't have anything in there that could cause discomfort to any of the people who go to these camps. So our costs for the SIPs haven't really changed that much because probably the most expensive part of the SIPs is the OSB board. Well, we have deep pockets, so we buy OSB by the train load, and we can buy direct. So we're able to keep the costs down, whereas conventional have not been able to keep the costs down. I met a contractor the other day up in Napa, and he said his cost for framing right now, just the framing alone, is over $100 a square foot. And which is incredible to me. And so, so to keep this in perspective, where the lumber is only 3 to 5% versus 20 to 24% for on-site framing. So you're saving about 80% on less lumber on the project by going with SIPs.
The
And this
SIPs,
guy,
once they're, what they're also already insulated. So the build time between, getting the SIPs up and connected, the amount of time that is saved in the entire building process, not just faster of putting the SIPs up, but in fact that you now have an insulated and closed system. And so the time and savings is really unparalleled, including just being able to finish the project a lot faster as well.
exactly. And so you have reduced builder callbacks. Everybody's probably seen these structures after a year or so, things tend to settle, foundations settle, you're going to get nail pops. Your windows aren't going to be opening as smoothly, they're going to be sticking and this and that. Stress cracks on the stucco. You can see for that last slide, if you can make it out, there's a guy holding a level there, and you can see that's about almost 4 to 6 inches of that building is out of plumb. So with the SIPs are true. I could put a SIP panel wall up 100 feet, 200 feet, put a laser on it. It's going to be perfect. And it's going to be perfect for years.
For
And that's
years. So
why
it's
we
not just,
offer,
oh,
that's
sorry, I
why
was
we
gonna
offer
say
a
it's not
20-year
about the
warranty. Yeah,
20-year warranty. And yeah, it's not just about at the completion of it, but a long-term uh, savings of the home being not moving and cracking and causing any issues down the road, but also the finishing of the home. For example, adding your sheetrock, you're not looking for any studs, you're just hanging up your sheetrock. The fairing is a lot less just because the walls are that much smoother.
yeah. I had a client call me the other day. He said, "Oh, we can't find any studs to hang our TV." And I said, "Well, you could just hang it directly anywhere. You don't
Anywhere.
need any studs to hang the TV or the cabinets or anything else." This just shows you a comparison. The picture on the or the graphic on the left in the pink, that's a typical conventional stud wall, 16-inch on center, whereas the graphic on the right shows that's a SIP wall. You can see there's no wood. Again, 80% less lumber. And people always are surprised. Well, what do you mean there's no wood in the panels? Well, it doesn't need it. It's 250 times stronger than conventional framing and a lot lighter.
Because of the way that the panel is.
Yeah. This is just a great little video that shows a SIP house going up in one day. And these guys are, it's a 3-man crew, 1,900 square foot house. And
What's so important to a builder is being able to button up your project. And so it's impressive to your client, especially if it's an ADU or a smaller home. They're literally up in a couple of days. Now, you're still needing to finish it, but the fact that you have a shell such as this that you can now secure is huge. It's actually one of the most risky parts of building stick frame is during the framing process when a lot can happen. So it's pretty impressive how quickly we can get a building up and secure.
yeah, we're usually looking at months of finishing up quicker than you can conventionally. And with people who are doing multifamily, that makes a huge difference. I mean, your burden is substantially less. You can get your tenants in a lot quicker or move in. So there's a lot of huge benefits of being able to get these structures done. I have one client who's a multifamily builder. He said the last conventional project he built was supposed to take 18 months to build. It took 28 months to build. So he was just besides himself. He came to me saying, please, I want to use SIPs. There must be something else that can speed this thing up in cost and reduce all the massive change orders that they get with conventional framing. So we talked about this a little bit. So you're increasing your productivity and you're reducing the skill of labor. So you're basically, your labor costs are going to be going down about 65% because it goes up so quick. You know, all the panels are fabricated in the plant. They come out on a truck and you basically stand them up. And there we have very comprehensive shop drawings that show where each and every panel goes, what goes in there, what kind of splines we use. And so that's why we're able to speed the amount it takes in order to put up these walls, roofs, and so forth, as you can see by the graphic. So
Just less people too. We've worked
right.
with God, how many builders that are just like, oh my gosh, I'm running a 3-person crew and I'm putting a house
Mhm.
up. Like their minds are blown because of just the less people, more projects. Yeah, it's pretty amazing.
People are worried that it's complicated. It's the simplest thing ever.
They're
I've
very
worked with a lot.
light.
Right, exactly. Extremely light. I worked with a lot of contractors who didn't even know what a SIP was, and they were off and going, you know, in a matter of an hour or two by the time they got started with putting up these SIPs.
Yeah, it's a very simple assembly. We like to say like Lincoln Logs or Lego. So it's easy to for everyone to kind of catch on.
Right. Like this guy, this builder in Jackson Hole, he said he was building a multifamily, he saved 80%. His framing and labor was reduced by 80%. So it's huge. So you faster dry in, reduce skilled labor. We were just talking about that. So you're overcoming your skilled labor shortages and realizing faster completion with SIPs because you don't have to have a bunch of journeyman carpenters out there. You have to have one lead guy, and that's about it. So, as I said before, all the SIPs arrive at the job site prefabricated. So, you're eliminating the time needed for skilled labor, reform site framing, insulating, and sheeting, which results in faster dry in, reduces construction loan carrying cost, and your interest. Again, this is just an example. We did a school in Las Vegas and we saved the electrician $1 million because they didn't have to put conduit into the walls. The chases that we provided where that little arrow shows are bores in the panels and that you just pull your wire through that and then use a router or a hole saw to basically put your boxes in. So it's so there's no drilling.
And this
So
is for all
these
your
guys love it.
MEP, we should say. This is for all
Mhm.
mechanical, engineering, and plumbing. These chases are run in the factory and pre-drilled. And certainly, if you need to make changes on site, you can maneuver the panel as long as you're not making Swiss cheese out of it. But we run those chases there, so it's very easy for the rough MEP, as we call mechanical engineering and plumbing, to go into the panel.
Energy efficient. So one of the big thing about the panels is they're super energy efficient. And there's a lot of tax credits right now available, which we'll get into a little bit later. But you have a continuous insulation throughout the panels, as you saw from the diagram earlier. It's a completely closed system, and so like a 6-inch wall basically has an R value of about 25 to 27. And so you look at a 10-inch roof, well, you're about an R38 or pushing an R40. So you're exceeding all the required Cal Green Energy Title 24 requirements right now by using the panels. And again, I'll just get into a little of the indoor air quality benefits. No carbon emission, tighter building envelope. It mitigate outdoor pollutants, and as I said before, there's basically zero CFCs, VOCs, HCFCs, formaldehyde, all that stuff. So
You can put on a really good HVAC system that's keeping your system clean. The indoor air quality that you can maintain, including temperature, is really unparalleled. It's amazing
exactly
how insulative they are. And
right,
then, of course, because the panels are wider, there's less room for the air to escape.
exactly. So the big difference is we got a healthier building. We got high performance building envelope, 50 to 60% less energy usage. So I get results from people all the time saying, "Oh my God, our energy bill is considerably less than what we were paying when we were living in a conventional type of house." And basically, what that means too is that your your energy cost, I mean, is going to be so significantly reduced. You can reduce your HVAC systems. So a lot of the time, let's say conventionally your house may need a 5-ton air conditioning unit. Well, you could probably take that down to maybe a 2-ton or a 1.5 or something. So you're saving a considerably amount on that as well. We already talked about our 20-year product performance warranty.
Touch on waste too. The waste stream of stick
Yeah.
frame traditional construction is ridiculous. The amount of debris bins that you have to have, the lumber waste is tremendous. Whereas these panels are cut to size or
Mhm.
clipped together. The reduction of waste overall for the project is huge, and that's a significant cost in and of itself.
Yeah, exactly. This just goes a little bit deeper into some of the R values, the comparison between SIPs and conventional. So SIPs
Not
outperform
only
stick
that,
frame.
conventional
Mhm.
is usually a batt insulation, which leaves rooms and gaps for animals and insects. The batt insulation sinks and is not very effective over time. Whereas with this foam, there are no air gaps. There's nowhere for it to go, and it can't sink. So it's not only about the R value now, but also long term will be more effective.
So all of this that we've been talking to you about, it's all proven results. Um,
I'll
again,
say.
this just shows you our how significantly more efficient the SIPs are, 40 to 60%. The big thing is with climate change and everything, we emit 40% less carbon emissions, which everybody's very concerned about right now, which they should be. And so that's why we're 100% sustainable building method here.
Yeah, these buildings have, and Greg himself have won many awards for buildings that are completely zero net energy, super green, LEED certified, any type of green building method. These certainly assist with attaining that uh, certification if you're looking for anything like that.
So I know we talked about this a little bit before, but we're just going to reiterate on the high performance with SIPs. Energy codes are ever increasing. They're going faster than I even realized. So we exceed all those. Conventional site framing methods struggle to meet these ever tightening codes. With excessive construction steps, our steps are usually conventional. It takes 8 steps versus 4 steps with the SIPs. That means the whole assembly. That meaning, we already have the insulation built in. We already have the shear. We reduce our inspection. We only need 1 inspection, whereas with conventional, you need 4 or 5 inspections to get to the same place. So, that's really important because with this exceptional performance with both energy, efficiency, and strength, we can meet all those solutions. So this goes into a little bit about what I was telling you a little bit earlier about the federal tax credits and the state tax credits, which are now available. So because the SIPs are considered net zero compliance, if you build a structure that's considered net zero ready, you can obtain these tax credits, which are huge. I
And
mean,
this
you're looking.
applies to an ADU, so
Mhm.
1 unit, and it can apply to 500 units per
Correct.
unit. So a significant amount depending on whether it's an ADU or multifamily.
Exactly. And then the states offering another 2,000 or more. Plus, there's
2,000.
Energy Star, local utility, PG&E. So there's a lot of big incentives where you're going to get tax credit and funds back, by going, with a SIP type of construction. So, of course, the strength and durability of the SIP is, as I said before, 250 times stronger than conventional framing. So we have to do all third-party testing that validates the SIP strengths approved. I told you before that we meet all the seismic A through F. Primarily, I would say 90% of the structures I build around the Bay Area are usually seismic E and D and E. So we definitely meet all that. And of course, SIPs have an advantage when handling in-plane compressive loads for any of you engineers out there. So, and this just shows you a little bit about the strength. So as you can see, the SIP walls have 43 pounds per lineal foot versus a conventional wall is 2,500 pounds per lineal foot. And that's the uniform load. And the vertical load you can see as well, 2,040 pounds versus 852 pounds. So that's why when the engineer takes a look at these charts, takes a look at our codes and everything else. And so we don't need, we usually reduce your structural cost for about 20-25% just because of what the SIPs have to offer. This is a neat little graphic. Everybody likes this. It's a little missile test that show the strength of the SIP. So here we go.
Don't forget about the sound, Greg.
One. Oh, jeez.
So this would clearly be a failure.
Whoa, clearly. Without any insulation to slow it down, the missile went clean through.
That wind will enter the house or the building. You'll create a positive pressure on the inside of the house, and that's where you see the windows exploding out of the homes, walls blowing out.
Absolutely, the whole Wizard of Oz.
Right.
Pop the roof off.
Now we'll shoot at the SIP wall with a foam core. And this time, I'm doing the honors.
Boink, right back at us. Look at this. That was the same speed, right?
Right, 34 miles an hour.
34 miles an hour.
It ripped the front, but
Around the backside, clean.
Yep.
Nothing. That's impressive.
so even though the OSB was cracked, the foam was strong enough to stop our missile.
So,
I mean, hopefully no one's shooting missiles at your home, but just in case.
well, a funny little story. Back in the late 90s, I had the opportunity of building subsidized housing in Far East Russia. We did 5,000 homes over there out of SIPs. And one of the biggest concerns with the Russians is whether it could withstand a bullet. And so we actually set up panels that they could come out and shoot the SIP panels. And, not saying that a 50 caliber is going to withstand, but they, a typical, AK-47, actually, the SIP actually did really good against that. So you never know.
Well, and that's a good just geography in terms of the fact that we've got different people building this way. It's just interesting that California is actually behind the mark on this. We're doing a lot more of this in out of state and obviously out of the country. In Europe, they've been building this way for a really long time, and we're just behind the eight ball on this. Really, we need to catch on. And I think it's really it's such a paradigm shift in the way that we're building. And again, we've been building this way for so long that it's a slow process. And so we really want to share this message that there is a better way to build.
So we're just going to show you kind of a series of pictures of different projects that we built with SIPs. There's one in San Francisco, row home 0 lot line. This was difficult because the street this was located on was like a little alley, so we had no place to stockpile the SIP. So we actually stockpiled on the foundation, and we just built right up from there. Here's a San Luis Wildlife Center commercial. Below is another wildlife center that we did for the Audubon. Here is student housing. Right there, goes up, I think, 4 stories. There's another student housing there on the right. So the long house there, that was kind of a multifamily for the indigenous Indians. And there's a hotel there on the bottom right.
As you can see, there's really a lot of design options there. And certainly we can go up to 5 stories, so some really large buildings, but they can be applicable for any size. And we work on projects of any size, absolutely.
Right. So here's the school we built, and there's another school that was built up in Washington. You can see the round walls there, all out of SIPs. Let's see. Again, this showing some multifamily projects. And basically, a couple of these projects here were built by the same developer. He uses SIPs on every one of his projects because he is able to obtain about a $3 million savings by going with SIPs and before when he used to do conventional. And there's a lot of reasons why, besides the speed, being able to get his exterior cladding up a lot quicker than he did before, and so on and so forth. We actually have a lot of lists of all the different attributes that SIPs have to offer. Besides,
it's almost hard to quantify it all and how it improves the project in so many ways. But we have tons of information on this, so we can always share that with people after.
Exactly. We're going to show this another little video here. It's just showing the speed of this commercial office building. that went up in Porterville here in California. So, I mean, as you can see, I mean, there's, I think this is it's 3 stories. It went up, you know, considerably fast because we had probably about 5 or 6 truckloads of SIPs coming in a day to meet. You know, we were installing about 4,000 square feet of SIP panels a day on this particular project.
And that's another thing too to mention is that in tight spots, we can be shipping in different truckloads of the panels. So when, like on that row home that we initially showed, when it's tough to access, there's really a great way to maneuver around tight spots.
Yes, we do modular.
We sure do. Yeah.
So I'm not really convinced with modular construction right now because it's too backlog and there's been problems with it, especially on multifamily, not with the SIPs, but the ones that they've been doing conventionally.
And modular can only get to about 50% of job sites just due to access issues and such. And the modular companies are still building stick frame in their factory. So it's still a waste stream and it's still not a great quality product. These companies can be utilizing SIPs within a factory to build modularly and then give their clients the option to build with a panelized system on site if you can't build modularly. We wanted to also just touch base on how great SIPs are for ADUs. They're absolutely taking off, and it's a major way to help solve our housing issues. And it seems like so many people are considering these for intergenerational living or an income stream. And like we said earlier, for these smaller units, you've got basically your shell up in a matter of a day or two. So it's super impressive. I'm a lot safer and getting that ADU up faster. Next slide. And we also just wanted to mention too that with our housing crisis, which is national, we've got a lot of new rules and regulations that are coming down the pipeline. And it's really important to integrate both not only these new ways of new zoning, new housing laws, but also integrating rules for new and green building and mandating that other than just zero net energy, but truly the process of the way that we're building, utilizing things like SIPs, modular, 3D home printing. We need to take housing to that next level.
This just shows a layout of how we do our layouts, you know, utilizing SIPs. And now,
Yeah, let's get into questions and answers, but let's go back one slide if we can, Greg, just to that
sure.
plot plan, just because I think it's important just to remind everyone that we work with homeowners, builders, developers, and architects from a very preliminary spot. We don't necessarily generate the architectural plans, but we can take a very basic set of architectural plans, and then you are starting to work with us. So we can help you generate that set of plans, including the engineering for the entire project, so that we've got a proper plan set to submit to the building department for permit. We work with you on the ordering of the SIPs and the like exactly what we're going to order, placing that order, generating plans like these so that when it comes time to assemble, it's very, very simple. And then we are again working with those on site and also in the draft room to help get these projects going faster and smoother and to the finish line, and giving them people the understanding so that they can keep replicating this and help them grow their business. Because if you can offer this to your clients and we can integrate this and you can build faster and greener, you're helping your clients, you're helping the planet, and you're helping your business, of course.
Yeah, and
So
we offer engineering.
We do at a fraction
Definitely.
of what California engineering pricing is. We have some some inside that we pass on that we can help
Yeah.
with.
Our engineers have been doing SIP design for a long, long time. They take in effect of all the different attributes of construction. As I said earlier, it's obtainable to reduce your structural cost by about 25% because you don't need all the hold downs. There's one winery we did a while back ago. It was originally slated conventionally to have 240 hold downs in there. We got rid of all of them but 4. So, those are the type of savings, you're dealing with. And on multifamily, it's huge. So we got rid of $400,000 worth of tie rods that went through the building. So, those type of savings that people don't think about, they start adding up really, really quickly, because the SIPs do have a lot to offer.
And just to touch base on the financing aspect, of course, because I'm also a mortgage officer. Yes, there's absolutely no problem in lending on prefab SIPs. In fact, it's easier and better to work with SIPs than it would be modular. There's a lot of issues with lenders and modular because you're building the entire home in a factory. It needs to be then trucked, which is risky, and then placed on site. Not all lenders lend to this. Every lender that I've spoken to has no problem with SIPs and gets it and understands it. It's basically just taking place of, in a way, the lumber. So you're still bringing different materials to your job site, and it is thought of in a different way than it would be in a modular way where the entire unit is placed down. Do you
So,
want to stop sharing the screen, Greg, and we can have a question and
yeah,
answer?
I got a couple questions from Kamal.
Oh, great.
And let's see, when a building inspector shows up, how does he check electrical wiring inside the panels and hold downs and anchor bolts? Well, okay, so good question. Basically, the inspector is looking at the compliance with our code report. And so he doesn't need to see anything inside the panels and if we like to use, if we do have hold downs, there's an actual cutout in the panel that we actually bolt the hold down to a post or something like that. And then the inspector can take a look at that hold down, and then we cover it back up and put the foam back in. So that's how that's dealt with. As far as the wiring, so if you're pulling Romex, through the chases, well, it's like look at it like a conduit. They don't really need to see the wiring. All they care about is really all the connection points in any looping or anything like that. So that's when the inspector's looking at the electrical on that respect. As far as the anchor bolts, we get an inspection. Basically, he's looking at those at the foundation inspection, make sure all the anchor bolts are in place because the panel actually slips over the plate in the anchor bolt. We have tons of details. Kamal, if you would like to see any details on that, let us know and we'll send you something. The other question you have, California is earthquake country, yes. And structural work is very important, yes. How do we install hold downs and anchor bolts on the steps? Well, hopefully I answered part of that on your last question. Again, the hold downs are placed just like you would conventionally. And if there are, anchor bolts are placed just like you would conventionally into the slab or the stem wall or whatever. And if there are hold downs, they're also placed beforehand so we can deal with those. And we basically, in the shop drawing process, all the hold downs are indicated on the shop drawing. If we have to have cutouts, then we do that in the factory. But I'd say most all the residentials that I've done in the last few years, we just use ST straps. We don't usually use it. We don't need the hold downs with the SEVs unless we have some kind of a moment frame type of condition, and then the engineer will figure that out. So
They're
hopefully I
that
answered
strong.
that.
Yeah.
Let's see. I think there's something in chat.
I see a question from
Sam.
Sam. Hello.
Mhm.
Aside from the building industry being very resistant to change, what are some of the biggest objections SIPs normally face, and what is the best practice for overcoming these objections? Oh, I love that because yeah, it's like the builders point to the architects point to the builders, saying, "Oh, they have to design this way. They have to learn how to build this way." It's a that's definitely one thing that we've come across. Such a
Yeah,
paradigm shift.
what I've come across is that, people ask us all the time, well, if the SIPs are so wonderful, why isn't everybody using it? Well, kind of back to that, one of those first slides, which shows you, why are people still doing stick framing? Because they're comfortable with it. And I'd say when I go meet with general contractors, they basically look at me, and it's changed considerably. I mean, every day that goes by, it's changing. More and more people are realizing that something has to change. And they're going, well, we just basically bid on projects and whatever the plans say we do. And so we don't have any incentive, and they're afraid of it. They're like, well, we've done stick framing forever. My dad did stick framing, my grandfather, all the way down the line. And so they don't just see any compelling reason why to change. I could go on and on about a bunch of stories, but usually I've never had anybody come back to me and say, I hate SIPs. I never want to do them again. Everybody is really
We
jacked
convert
about
everybody.
using SIPs.
Yeah,
The architects, most architects like SIPs, but architects are client driven. And so there's this fear factor also. Oh my God, what if we suggest building with SIPs and something happens and blah, blah, blah. Of course, remember, SIPs have been around for 50 years. So it's not like, Lindsay and I are building these in our garage or something and, you know, something this is brand new. I mean, we have extensive code reports. The facility where the fabrication and everything go is huge. It's a major, major deal. And as I said,
they
we do a lot of commercial, and
they
so
were
it's
fabricated here in California for quite some time, but the
right.
factory expanded to like 4 times the size it was and moved up to Washington State. So still fabricated here in the States, but we just have a bigger outfit now.
It's there's no problem with the building jurisdictions. I mean, every jurisdiction I worked with in California, I mean, SIPs are in the code reports now. And, they basically, when they want to see our code reports, we give them our code report. They think most church systems like to see something like SIPs being used because it's sustainable, it's energy efficient, it meets all the Title 24 Cal Green criteria that I mentioned earlier. And so, shoot, I wish we had a picture of that project I did in Palo Alto, Lindsay, the multifamily.
Oh, yes,
Uh,
that's a good one.
um,
Mhm.
yeah, we'll have to put that up. Anyway, City of Palo Alto, that was probably one of the hardest jurisdiction I dealt with. And but we convinced them that SIPs was the way to go. And afterwards, man, they were just so enthralled with the idea of building this sustainable multifamily building in Palo Alto that they had big meetings over there to show off everybody and this and that. And so there's a lot of times, these building projects will give you perks also. Oh, you're building with SIPs. Well, maybe your entitlements are going to be a little bit easier. They're going to push forward, or oh, maybe we can, fit in a few more units in there or something like that. I've seen it happen all the time.
Well,
So
we tend to sell, I mean, as soon as we bring somebody on, they don't go back, The project, up in Santa Rosa, he was building with his a new home build with, I don't know, 3 or 4 people, and he said, "I'm never going back. I'm never going back. I love SIP." So we tend to convert pretty much anyone that is
right.
is willing to jump in with it. But yeah, sometimes it is a bit of a mindset change for sure.
So the other thing I wanted to mention is that, okay, a lot of people say, okay, great, we love the SIPs, we want to do it, but who's going to install them? Who's going to put them up? Well, we have people, we've certified different contractors throughout the area and beyond that can come in very reasonably and they can put up the SIPs. They could do the whole rough framing package. They can do more. A lot of times clients will say, well, can they do the foundation? Can they install the windows? Can they put on the exterior cladding, do the roof, all the stuff? Whatever the client wants, we're there to help make that happen. in making sure everything goes together. And we're going to be working with your scheduling, make sure. So after that foundation is good, the next day you're going to see a truck rolling up, with the SIPs ready to go. So we try to offer all these types of services, make sure, your project is going to go as smooth as possible. So there's a lot of hand holding. We get a lot of people too. I work with GCs. Well, great, but I love this one particular general contractor. I really want to use him a job, but he doesn't know even what a SIP is. Okay, so we educate him. And if need be, we'll do some on-site training. But we got lots of videos, install manuals. And as I said earlier, I just did a big camp up in Napa that was burned out during the fires. And I remember dealing with the framer up there. He was um, basically a journeyman carpenter union type of guy. He first thing he said to me, he says, "You know what? I don't want to use SIPs on this project. I've been doing stick framing all my life. All I do is work with wood." And he says, "If it was up to me, I wouldn't use any SIPs on this." Well, after going through everything with him, first of all, I was able to get rid of all the LVLs in the roof. I saved them $80,000 in LVL cost. I taught him how to gang all the SIPs together to put them all up at once on the roof. And at the end of the day, he came back to me. He said, "You know, you were right." He said, "I would love to do any SIP projects you got. This stuff is amazing." So, we get those kind of comments all the time. We don't never had anybody come back and say, "Oh, I'm really sorry that we use SIPs on this project. It's horrible," and so forth. No, we all get, positive feedback.
Any more questions or comments, anything we can assist with? And if you're interested in learning more, you're very welcome. We're happy to share. We've got tons of information. We can come and present to to anyone and everyone. We've got our handy dandy panels that I can assemble a small house, and send us your plans. Let us, give you a quote on an architectural set. Let's build greener, faster, and
Oh yeah,
better.
that's the other thing. If we can get you preliminary pricing, all we need is a floor plan and elevations,
Mhm.
and we can
Very
get you some
basic.
pricing on that. What else? Anything else you may need, that's what we can provide. So yeah, thank you again for your time participating. We really appreciate it. And just
Thank
reach
you,
out to
everybody.
Lindsay or me, and we can get you a lot more information and a lot more details. This is just kind of a quick and simple, just to get your feet wet, or what SIPs are all about. So,
Thanks, everyone.
oh wait,
Take
wait,
care.
wait, wait. I
Oh,
see
oh,
one other question here.
oh, yeah.
Okay, from Robert. I have a contractor getting into spec homes who I'd like to present the information to. So let's connect. Yes, please, Robert. Just let us know. And by the way, if you already have a project, you say, "God, I got this project. I've already designed. It's already engineered. It's maybe even permitted for conventional framing. I wish I knew about this before." Well, you know what? We can do a conversion. And we're not going to charge you anything extra to do it. We'll absorb the conversion price. It's a simple conversion, and it's not going to cost you time with your going back to the building department and saying, "Oh my God, we're going to go back to the bond shell, have to redo." No, that never happens. So it's a very simple process to convert.
Greg,
Um,
could you show our contact information again? And also, I think we missed a question from Trisha.
Tricia, if I want to
And
build 750 square foot, what would be the next step? Yes, please. If you have plans, Tricia, get it to us. We'll take
I
a
know
look at
Trisha
it. We'll get you
well.
some cost.
And yes, they can work on most foundation types.
Kamel again asked, when a building inspector shows up, how does he check? Oh, yeah, I think we answered
I think
that.
we got
Sorry.
that one. Yeah.
Sorry, we already did that one. If I'm missing everything, thank you very much. Okay, I think, well, wait a minute. I got something on chat again.
Just show our contact
Oh, thank
information
you.
again.
Okay.
I can put it in the chat.
There you go.
There we go. There we go.
All right. Well, thanks again, everybody. Get a hold of
Thank
us
you so
and
much.
we'll get you some more info.